Welcome. I'm your host, Carolyn Morrison, and on this episode of Mysteries of the Church, we will be looking at the long-standing tradition of the papacy. It is no secret how important the Pope is to the Catholic Church and to the world in which we live. The Pope is truly the shepherd for Catholics around the world. During this episode, we will shed light on the detailed yet secretive process that occurs when a new Pope is elected. Also, we will present to you how certain popes use their title to influence the masses for the better, and how others abuse the power of their given role. This and much more is coming up right now on Mysteries of the Church. According to the Gospel of Matthew, as Christ approached the end of his life on earth, he appointed Apostle Peter to be the leader of his followers. He renamed him Caiaphas, an Aramaic word meaning rock. He said, "Thou art Peter, and upon this rock I shall build my church."
Peter found his way to Rome and is considered the first bishop of Rome. And consequently, the notion developed that the Bishop of Rome had a special place in the church.
The Pope, beyond that, has numerous other titles, Vicar of Christ, for instance, successor of Peter, and so on. All of these titles are more or less honorific, but they do point to the Pope's importance for how the church runs, how it unifies itself, and frankly, how it approaches other religious traditions, especially Christian traditions.
As Roman Catholic tradition has it, the papacy is a responsibility of leading the church, and so Peter would be our very first pope, and all others since then are his successors. That statement, now known as the Petrine Promise, gave Peter the freedom and power to universally guide Christians in the direction of purity, so that they may one day achieve everlasting life in heaven. And that is ultimately the supreme role of the Pope as the leader of the Catholic Church.
We have, 263, depending on who you include within the list of popes, roughly 1/3, 76 popes have been declared saints.
But the Bishop of Rome has always sort of held out a hand to those Christians who are outside of communion. What the Pope does for those Christians, especially those Christians in the West, is to provide a kind of hub for all of the different spokes in the wheel of Christianity.
Today, the leader of the Catholic Church is Pope Benedict XVI, and he resides in the Vatican in Rome. This location holds great importance because it was literally built over St. Peter's grave on Janiculum Hill, later named St. Peter's Square. It is certainly one of the most visited sites known to Christians. It is at the Vatican where all Catholic doctrine is controlled and where matters pertaining to the Church are sorted out. It is the duty of our Pope to monitor any and all Catholic happenings. He must also be aware of global matters that affect us.
He is a kind of center point or focal point for action and service. Not only that, the Pope also serves as a kind of unifying head for the Church. He's, in common parlance, he's kind of like the go-to guy. If there are issues in the Church that need resolution, the Pope is, in many instances, the person of last resort. He settles all kinds of problems and sets policy for the universal church.
His decisions and actions must be carefully planned because with over 1 billion followers, anything he does impacts the world. The papacy is the Pope's office, and the government of the Church is called the Holy See. His jurisdiction isn't limited to Rome, it is only his primary location. Actually, any place that Catholics live may be considered the spiritual territory of the Pope.
You have to realize that the Catholic Church is in every corner of the world, and the kinds of information that's shared between its members on the ground almost inevitably filters back into the Vatican as a kind of hub. And so when it comes to intelligence around the world, even the United States pales in comparison.
When we return, we will discover how a new Pope is appointed today, and we will take a look at the differences in papal authority throughout history. So please join us when Mysteries of the Church continues.